Welcome back from the short break. This is Econo Chat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. You're tuned into the Power Station Energy 100 with your hostess Elsa Binyani. And of course, we have Mr. Daniel Steinman right here with us. We are talking SME recovery loans. Before we went on a break, Mr. Daniel Steinman, I did inform the listeners that we will be touching on the 500 million Namibian dollars that is allocated to the commercial banks by the Bank of Namibia. So can we touch on that? They call it the seed capital, or the seed capital. That
you can call it seed capital.
Okay.
You know, it is capital that is allocated either by government or central bank.
Okay.
And remember, this comes from our national budget. The provision has been made in the budget. So you can call it seed capital. It is there to seed, to help plant small businesses or micro enterprises or existing ones to make them become bigger, to make them grow. And the whole SME recovery loan scheme from the Bank of Namibia is channeled through the commercial banks. So the Bank of Namibia does not deal directly with any application, any owner of any small or medium business. In the Namibian context, remember what I've just clarified earlier. So we're talking small businesses, but we're not talking about the informal sector. We're talking about that example that I used of a sole proprietor, but with a few people working for him or her, or a partnership with 3, 4, 5, 6 people in it. They have a bank account. They've got an operational name. Whether they're registered as a company or not is irrelevant. But there's a consensus amongst the members or amongst the employees of what they do and what the company is or the enterprise is and who their clients are. Very important. What their products are. You know, this sort of thing. So you can see that we are beyond the level of kapana on the street or just a seamstress doing the odd job. We are now at a more structured level, and this is the reason why the Bank of Namibia is using the commercial banks, because in 99% of the cases there is already a relationship between that enterprise and a commercial bank somewhere. Regardless of how insignificant that account is, even if it is just an electronic or a digital wallet, you know, or a very rudimentary banking facility that you can do on a cell phone. As soon as you have a formal connection to the commercial banking side, you have left the informal economy and you are now part of the formal economy. And a very important thing, Elsabi, and this is what few people realize, is that the biggest distinction is the informal economy you cannot measure. How do you tell how much money a car guard has made in a day? And make no mistake, sometimes I always talk to them, you know, then this guy shows me he's taken $200, $300 in a day. And I say, wow, you know. So,
well, that shows that we have a lot of generous people.
Yeah, but again, not every day.
Yeah,
you
of course.
Sometimes when they're really complaining, they say, no, please buy me a Coke. And I said, okay, I'll buy you a Coke. He said, today I only took in 60, you know. And if you take away $30 for taxi, it means that there's $30 left, and it is not sufficient. That you should know. But if you start taking in $200 or $300 a day, you're still informal, but you look after yourself. You can survive. Now we're going to the whole SME thing, and why is this money made available? It's made available so that after the recession that started at the end of 2016, and that was followed up by COVID in 2020, the small businesses are, many of them, hundreds of them, are in a precarious state. They suffer. They've been suffering for 6 years. They battle to survive. Many of them have gone over to a cash basis. They simply cannot afford accounts and that sort of thing anymore. They operate you know the expression van die hand na die tand?
Yeah,
That's basically the way that they operate. So now there's a government initiative. Let's make financing available. The problem is the Bank of Namibia does not have the capability to engage
directly
enterprise owners directly. So that's why the commercial banks are in there. Now you sit with, how does the process work? And I see a lot of articles in various publications, and I even see advertising. Yes, they're all punting now SME recovery loan scheme. There's 500 million Namibia dollar available. If you look at all the SMEs in Namibia, 500 million Namibia dollar is not very much. It's not going to go far. So what we typically looking at is a fairly large cake, but the people that have to eat from that cake, there are thousands of them. I mean, lots of people. So the slices will be very thin. And they've also, I think the one criteria is that the turnover may not exceed 10 million Namibia dollar in a year. Now that is bordering on medium. You remember when I talked about definitions?
Yes.
Very important to know what you're talking about. If a company has a turnover of 10 million, it's no longer a small company. So we need to focus on that part of the SME bracket or the MSME bracket where finance is really needed, where it can make a difference, where it can make those small enterprises grow, but the enterprises that are officially in the formal economy, bank account, address, telephone number, you know, that sort of thing that you don't find in the informal economy. And this will make the big difference. But I don't think the bigger companies must expect preferential treatment. This is really for the guys with a turnover of, let's say, between 200,000 and 2 million in a year.
Well, I hope that will probably happen. But of course, let's go for a short break. And when we return, we continue talking about SME recovery loan. And we hope that it will work out. Let's go for that short break.